The stock market is up right now. Since Donald Trump was elected, I say that loosely, but since he was elected, the media was claiming that the Trump effect was occurring because stocks went up for a little bit. But they have since crashed back down, and now they're back on their way up. Essentially what has happened is it flatlined. So the Donald Trump effect on the stock market was a flatline in the last 3 or so months.
Yeah.
Previous 3 months, the market was going up. That was the Biden effect. The Trump effect killed the gains.
I'm expecting a major crash, Larry. I'm curious your take.
Yes, I do expect that Donald Trump is a clown. He's incompetent. He's stupid. And so, yes, and I don't mind calling him names, by the way. And yes, he will, and his people, these are the craziest people in the world, they will crash the economy. I'm expecting that it wouldn't surprise me if they did it twice. And on top of that, once the Democrats take over in the House, he might get impeached again. That would be my prediction, that the clown will still be a clown in the next 4 years, and everything that he did the last time, he's going to do worse this time. And we can see that by the picks that he's taking.
Yeah, I agree.
Bernie Sanders was questioning one of these guys. I don't remember his name, but he was asking about what was happening with Donald Trump trying to say he's going to get rid of regulations. Understand that Clinton increased regulations, George W. Bush lowered them, and then Obama increased regulations, Trump lowered them, and then Biden increased regulations. What happened is every time the Democratic Party increases regulations, the economy booms, and the markets gain more points. Yep. When the Republicans decrease them, we get the recessions. Every Republican for the last 128 years has given us a recession. So this clown that Donald Trump just nominated was claiming that reduced regulations is going to cause the economy to boom.
Yeah, was this Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary nominee? He was the guy that Bernie was interviewing about the minimum wage.
I think that was the guy.
Yeah.
So he was spouting his lies, his right-wing lies about reducing regulations and increasing revenues. All that stuff was blatant, bald-faced lies. And the proof is what happens when Republicans become president? They crash the economy.
Yeah.
What happens when Republicans become president? They don't see any jobs growing.
Yep.
So when these guys are, and all of them are doing it, everybody who's getting up there, they're just lying through their teeth.
Yep.
And we know it's a lie because the Democratic Party has not seen a recession in the last, 44 years now? Going back from Clinton to Barack Obama to Biden.
Yeah.
So that is, it's going to be 48 years now that Trump has got another term. Because by the time that's over, Trump will have a chance to give us a couple more recessions. The Democrats will then be sitting at 48 years where they have not seen a recession. That's a 48-year-old man has never seen a Democratic president give us a recession.
Yeah.
And yet the clown got a second term.
Yep. Well, and frankly, Larry, I blame a good part of this on the failure of Democratic Party messaging, on a series of, in my opinion, relatively incompetent Democratic Party leaders, DNC leaders, and the failure of leadership within the Democratic Party. I think that Chuck Schumer has been in some ways just an absolute disaster. And now you've got a Democratic Party that is aggressively continuing to embrace a seniority system that puts age ahead of competence. And, we saw this with AOC getting pushed out of the Oversight Committee chair. Go ahead.
I like AOC, but I don't have a problem with the Democratic Party taking care of their elders who have more history behind them, and they can see things.
If it's somebody like Rosa DeLauro who knows, who's an old person, she's in her 80s, I believe, who knows how to get publicity, who knows how to do political theater, who knows how to politically message, God bless them. But, when you're getting people who are just there, Chuck Schumer, has never in his life, to the best of my knowledge, given an inspiring speech. He reads them over his cheaters, over his reading glasses, and just drones on and on and on. And I would like to see some damn charisma. I'd like to see some youth. I'd like to see some energy coming out of the Democratic Party, and I haven't, frankly, haven't been seeing much of it. And
I'm not a fan
over the
of
last 8 years, 10 years.
I'm not a fan of Chuck, but it's kind of hard for the Democratic Party to get their message out when they don't have a single major network that actually gets out there and tells the truth.
I agree. The closest, you've got is MSNBC, and half their on-air talent is Republicans.
And so every time a Democratic Party is in the White House, we get irrational exuberance comments coming from the Fed. That's going to disappear when Trump gets back in the White House, no matter how high the stock market goes.
Yeah.
And
how long do you think, Larry? I do need to move along, but I'm curious how long you think Mr. Powell is going to last.
I think he'll last all the way through because somebody's going to convince Donald Trump. He's kind of dumb. He doesn't know what he's doing, but somebody's going to convince him, hey, the only reason why you got a second term is because Powell tried to crash Biden's economy twice.
Yeah, which according to you is true. So yeah, I get it. Larry, I've got to take another call, but thank you very much for the call. It's always nice talking to you. So Donald Trump has nominated a fellow worth hundreds of millions of dollars, Scott Bessent. He actually used to run I believe it was a hedge fund for George Soros. Interestingly, it raised a lot of eyebrows, but to be Treasury Secretary. And Scott Bessent has, yesterday I played a clip of him talking to Bernie Sanders, in which Bernie Sanders said, do you support raising the federal minimum wage from the current $7.25 an hour to something reasonable? And Scott said, no, I think $7.25 is just fine, or words to that effect. Later on in the interview, this was during his confirmation hearing, he was asked about this by a Republican, the Trump tax cuts, which were passed by reconciliation, so they expire in 10 years. They're expiring this year. And Scott Bessent said, if we do not renew, extend, the Trump tax breaks for billionaires, then we will be facing an economic calamity, and always with economic instability that falls in the middle and the working class people. We will see a giant middle class tax increase. Well, no, not so much. I mean, the vast majority of the benefits of the Trump tax cut didn't go to the middle class. I mean, middle class people might have gotten $100 out of it, maybe even a couple $100, but it was the billionaires who made millions on this tax cut. And in fact, Janet Yellen, who is our current Treasury Secretary and has done a marvelous job steering the ship of state, as it were, at least the ship of the Treasury Department for the last 4 years, she said the projected fiscal path under current budgetary policies is simply not sustainable. She said she's arguing that we should start, raise taxes back to where they were when Reagan came in office. She says the consequences of inaction or action that exacerbates projected deficits could be dire. And, of course, extending Trump's, it was a $4 trillion tax cut, and he wants to extend it for another 10 years. So that'd be another $4 trillion that he would add to the national debt. And the national debt is already in excess of GDP. So our debt is as big as our economy. That's not a milestone that you want a nation to reach, an economy to reach. But it is the result of three Republican administrations, the Reagan administration, the second Bush administration, and the Trump administration, each putting into place massive tax cuts. And then, of course, George W. Bush having two massive wars that he ran off the books. He never put them on the books. Obama had to put them on the books, which made it look like the deficit went up. So, wild stuff.